She only wanted a quiet meal before heading home. A few calm minutes to rest her swollen feet and feel her baby kick. But peace isn't something everyone lets you have. Inside that crowded diner, laughter faded the moment she walked in. Whispers followed, and eyes turned sharp. Still, she smiled, choosing grace over anger, until one waitress decided to remind her of a cruel truth, that hate can wear an apron too. But what happened next? No one in that diner saw it coming. It had been a long morning. The sun was already high, and the city buzzed with that heavy weekday noise. Car horns, chatter, and the clinking of cups from open cafes. For Alyssa, it was supposed to be just another checkup at her doctor's office. Another small step toward welcoming the child she'd been praying for. 7 months along, every step felt slower, heavier, but her heart stayed light. She was proud of how far she'd come. On her way home, she noticed the little diner on the corner. A place she'd passed dozens of times but never stopped in. Its windows were fogged with steam, the kind that hinted at warm food and friendly smiles. She decided to treat herself to breakfast. Just one meal out, a small reward for surviving another week of swollen ankles and sleepless nights. As she stepped inside, a bell jingled softly. The air smelled of pancakes and coffee. Families talked quietly. A couple laughed by the window. Everything felt ordinary. She found a seat near the back, rubbing her belly as she exhaled. For a moment, she let herself believe this would be a calm, uneventful stop. But then, something shifted. The energy in the room changed, subtle but sharp, like the warmth had been pulled from the air. The waitress behind the counter, a woman in her 30s with tired eyes and a practiced smile, froze for just a second before approaching. Her tone wasn't kind. Her eyes said something else entirely. Alyssa didn't know it yet, but the next few minutes would turn that quiet diner into a place no one there would ever forget. The waitress approached slowly, holding a notepad that trembled just slightly in her hand. Her name tag read Karen, though the irony wouldn't be lost later. Alyssa smiled politely, hoping for a simple exchange. Maybe a kind word, maybe just good service. But instead, Karen's eyes scanned her like she didn't belong there. "What can I get you?" the waitress muttered, voice low, clipped, impatient. Alyssa hesitated. "Just some pancakes, please, and orange juice." Karen scribbled without looking up, her jaw tight. She turned abruptly and walked away, muttering something Alyssa couldn't quite hear. The table beside her, an older couple, shared a glance, awkward and uneasy. Alyssa tried to ignore it. She'd been through worse. She told herself not to overthink it. Minutes passed. No food came. She watched as other customers, all of them white, were served promptly. Fresh plates, refilled cups, warm smiles. Karen laughed with them, moving quickly from table to table. Yet Alyssa's glass of water sat empty. Her plate never arrived. She rubbed her belly, whispering softly to her unborn child, "Patience, baby, patience." Finally, after nearly half an hour, she caught Karen's attention. "Excuse me." Before she could finish, the waitress turned sharply. "I'll get to you when I can. You're not the only one here." The words were cold, but it was the tone that stung. Loud enough for nearby tables to hear. Heads turned again. One man lowered his newspaper, his brow furrowed. A teenage girl whispered something to her mother. Still, Alyssa stayed calm. "I understand," she said gently. "I've just been waiting a while." Karen rolled her eyes. "Maybe next time you should call ahead, if you even plan to pay." The room went silent. Alyssa froze. It wasn't the words, it was the implication. She looked around, waiting for someone to say something, anything, but no one moved. No one wanted to be involved. Her heart pounded. She felt heat rising in her chest, a mix of humiliation and disbelief. Every instinct told her to leave. But before she could stand, Karen returned, this time carrying a plate. Not with care, but with anger. She set it down so hard that syrup splashed across the table and onto Alyssa's dress. "Oh, look at that," Karen said dryly, not even pretending to be sorry. "Guess accidents happen." The sound of the plate echoed in the diner. For a few long seconds, no one spoke. Alyssa slowly dabbed the syrup with a napkin, her hands trembling. She didn't cry. She didn't shout. She only looked up, calm, steady, and hurt beyond words. Across the room, the manager had been watching. His face pale, jaw set tight. He'd heard every word. And the next thing that happened would make sure Karen never forgot the cost of her cruelty. The manager's chair scraped back so suddenly it startled the room. Conversations halted. The sound of the kitchen faded into a dull hush as he stormed out from behind the counter, eyes fixed on Karen. For a brief moment, even Karen looked uncertain. "What exactly do you think you're doing?" His voice cut through the silence, low, steady, but burning with restrained anger. Karen opened her mouth, but words stumbled out half-formed. She was being difficult. "No," he interrupted sharply. "I watched the entire thing. She sat there quietly, waiting. And you humiliated her." The color drained from Karen's face. A few customers looked down at their plates, ashamed. Others watched in stunned silence as Justice finally stood up. Then, the moment no one expected happened. The manager turned to Alyssa, his voice softening. "Ma'am, I am so sorry. Please, allow me to make this right." He motioned to the kitchen staff. Within minutes, the chef himself brought out a fresh plate, pancakes, fruit, and warm syrup, setting it gently in front of her. "This one's on the house," he said quietly. Karen tried to speak again, but the manager's words struck hard. "Karen, take off your apron. You're done here." Her face went pale, disbelief turning to rage. "You can't fire me over her." The manager's eyes narrowed. "I'm not firing you over her. I'm firing you over who you've become." The diner stayed frozen in silence. Alyssa didn't gloat. She simply nodded, whispering a quiet, "Thank you." The same woman who'd been shamed minutes ago now stood as a silent symbol of grace. Karen stormed out, muttering under her breath, but karma had already spoken. Not with anger, but with dignity, witnessed by everyone who'd chosen to stay silent before. And in that diner, a heavy stillness lingered, the kind that comes only when truth finally makes itself heard. The diner remained quiet long after Karen left, the door still swaying from the force of her exit. No one dared speak at first. The weight of what had just happened hung in the air like a mirror, reflecting back the uncomfortable truth that everyone had seen, but too few had challenged. Alyssa sat there for a moment, still, her eyes glistening but proud. She wasn't just a customer who'd been mistreated. She was a woman who refused to let hate define her moment of peace. The manager returned with a gentle smile and offered to clean up the mess himself. He apologized again, not just for his employee, but for the silence of everyone who had witnessed it. Alyssa simply nodded. "Thank you," she said softly. Sometimes, silence hurts more than words. But today, someone finally spoke up. As she left the diner, the same people who had once looked away now met her gaze. A few with guilt, some with quiet admiration. The teenage girl near the window gave her a small smile, whispering something to her mother. And for the first time that morning, Alyssa felt a strange kind of peace. Not because justice had been served perfectly, but because kindness had fought its way through the noise. Outside, the sunlight felt different, warmer. She placed a hand on her belly and whispered, "You'll be born into a world that still has hate, but also hope." Behind her, the diner's sign flickered faintly. The same place where cruelty tried to take root, but compassion won instead. Because racism doesn't always roar in crowds. Sometimes, it whispers through everyday moments. In looks, in tone, in silence. And the only thing stronger than hate is the courage to call it out, even when it's uncomfortable. And that day, inside that small-town diner, one woman's grace taught everyone watching what real strength looks like. Sometimes, justice doesn't come from shouting. It comes from standing tall, even when others look away. What would you have done if you were there that day? If this story moved you, don't forget to subscribe for more powerful real-life stories that uncover truth, courage, and compassion. Leave a comment below. Your voice matters, and every story shared helps others see the world through a different lens. Speech balloon because silence protects hate, but speaking up changes everything.